Hello everyone. We're at video 300. I'm going to upload this one shortly after I film it because this is the 300th video on YouTube. I've had, I don't know how many thousands, it's a couple hundred, I think 125, 250,000 video views, something like that. And it's just surprising me that I've put so many videos up in the last 2 years. I started putting YouTube videos up in 2010. The first one was work related. After that, the next one after that is Tomodachi playing fetch. I thought it was so funny that cat played fetch, so I put it on video. I'll put a link to that one at the bottom of this one. But this video here is going to be a rant video. First rant video was about choices. This one's going to be about consequences and the decisions that follow from those choices. Okay? I'm cleaning up as we talk. I'm going to get out the Mercury 9 and work on it a little bit. Okay, right here, you haven't seen the video on it yet, but this is an oil tank on 1/350 scale. Okay, this is a gun I'm going to work on very soon. It's not 1/350 scale, it's 1/72 scale. It's the same scale, not 1/48 scale. Same scale as Mr. Gundam, who's up here. I've ordered paints for him. I'm waiting for the paints to get here. Really waiting for Mercury 9 to be done before I work on that Gundam again. I have another short project to work on between the Mercury 9 and the Gundam, and this gun's part of it. This is practice painting for the Gundam's gun. So that's why this is here. Okay. It's primered up and ready to go. It belongs to this guy over here. You haven't seen that video yet because it's at the end of the Gundam video, but it belongs to this guy over here. I built this model about 15 years ago, never finished it. It's when I dropped out of model building. I didn't know what seam filling was back then and didn't do it. So seams on this guy are pretty horrible. But for what I want to do with him, I don't think seams are going to matter so much. So you'll see that in a little while. Okay. There's some leftover Halloween stuff in here. We had a Halloween party last night with about 30 kids at it. You get to see that video because Dr. Cranky's having a costume contest and I did a costume for it. So you'll see that video real soon. This is leftover from BB's costume. She won his Bust-A-Moo, a cow wrapper. Anyhow, what we're going to talk about right now is... Okay, that can go there. What we're going to talk about is consequences from choices and responsibility. Because you can't have a video about choices without a follow-up to it. I've got a whole bunch of these videos planned. One about anger and how anger destroys your life. And I got them written down. I'll find them when I get to them. But there's a lot of different segments. This one we're going to talk about. Let's say you make a choice. Okay? Let's say you make a choice and your choice is to cut in front of someone on the way to work. Now, you don't know what cutting in front of that person could have done to them on the way to work. You don't know if it makes them late and they lose their job. You don't know anything. The consequence from that decision could be astronomical for the other person, or it could be something simple as you just make them mad for the rest of the day. Okay, that goes back to choices, but there's always a consequence to your choice. Okay? For instance, one day I cut someone off. I'll admit it. I'm not the best of drivers out there. I'm not the worst. I'm not the best. I cut someone off one day, and the guy was mad, and he got out of the car and came pounded on my window, and I said, what's going on? What's wrong? I mean, why are you pounding my window? He said, I had to slam on the brakes when you cut me off. And I said, so? He said, my dad's in the car with a heart condition. I'm now going to the hospital. You know, and that was a consequence from my decision, a consequence I didn't know about, something I didn't think about. Okay? I didn't think about cutting someone off could hurt them. Now that just goes with choices. Now, that's just one example. Let's say another example. Okay? Let's say you decide to drink a little bit too much one night, and on your way home, you bang into a car and dent it up real bad, and just keep going. Okay? What are the consequences of that? Probably nothing, because the chances of someone finding who banged up their car when you just drive on home are minimal. Okay? But deep down inside, you know you made a bad choice. And it's going to eat at you. Okay? Some people say, no, 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 no. That's not going to eat at me. That's not going to bother me. You know, I don't need to think about that. Oh, but they're wrong. Deep down inside, it's going to eat on them. It's going to tear them up some inside. Maybe only for an hour. Maybe for 2 or 3 weeks. Depends on the person. Okay? But sooner or later, it's going to get them. It's going to come out, especially if they keep doing it. Alright? And the consequence is the other person now has to pay for fixing a car that they had nothing to do with. So you're throwing away your responsibility to take care of the damage you've created and caused at the expense of someone else having to pay for that damage that you caused. So you're not taking responsibility for your actions, and you're causing a lot of other problems in someone else's life. Okay? So you need to think about these things. Do you fess up, be a man, walk back there and say, hey, I damaged your car? I'll be honest with you guys. One day I was pulling out in the parking lot and I hit a car. I put a pretty good dent in their door. I faced that choice. I put a note on their car with my phone number. They never called me. I don't know why they didn't, but I did put that note on that car. I was upset with myself the whole way home for damaging that car, but I did the right thing and I had a clear conscience. Okay? Here's another thing we need to talk about. Responsibility. Unintended consequence and responsibility. Okay? Let's say you lie to your friend. Doesn't matter what it's about. And they call you up and say, hey, Friday night, let's go drinking. And you're like, no. I don't want to go drinking. And then you go out drinking with a different friend. You made a choice. Now, if the first friend sees you Friday night, you need to be responsible and go apologize and say, hey, you know, sorry. Whatever you need to do. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just walk away and don't say anything about those, the effects of that and what they've done. And it's not a good thing. You've got to take responsibility for your actions. Okay? Or, let's say this. You borrow a couple $100 from your brother or your sister or your mom. And then you never pay it back. And I'm not talking $5, $10, you know. Among friends, $5 or $10 really isn't much of anything, and they'll borrow it from you one day, and they'll just get it back that way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you know, you borrow a couple of $1,000, $5,000, and then you don't pay that back. Something that could definitely hurt someone financially. They did it out of the kindness of their heart to help you out, and then you just go, sucker, and walk off. You're not taking the responsibility for that action. And that's not what you should do. You need to take the responsibility, make things right. Because things like that cause rifts in families. You know, and you're not being responsible. You're not following through on your consequence. I mean, the consequences come up later. Okay? When people don't want to talk to you. And you slowly lose all of your friends. Those kind of behaviors tend to isolate people. Alright? So just wanted to talk for a minute about that sort of thing. I mean, this is something that's very lacking in our society. People don't take responsibility for their actions. They don't hold themselves accountable. Alright? Another video that I'm going to do is about being selfish. We'll get to that one later because some of this behavior overlaps with being selfish. I've learned in my life that being selfish doesn't get you very far in life. You're happier if you're not selfish. Okay? You're much, much happier when you actually sit down and you talk with people and you help people. Alright, I went through the selfish thing and I'll talk about that too. I'm using myself as examples in these things because that's the best way you learn. You use yourself. You've got the best experiences about it. Okay? The choices video was very widely accepted. I know that. I don't know if it had any dislikes, but I know it had a heck of a lot of comments. And quite a few of you said thank you for that. Somehow I don't think this video is going to be as popular. Because it's the flip side. You made a bad choice, you should take care of it. That's what I'm saying. Okay? And a lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people try to run from their responsibilities in that regard. That's something I try not to do. Okay? And you learn through life that taking care of your responsibilities doesn't make you a weaker or a lesser man. If anything, it makes you a better man and people respect you for it. Okay? It's one of the problems I have with, yes, I'm bringing up politics, with most politicians. I don't care what party they are in. And I'm not going to say much about politics other than this. These people do not take responsibility for their actions. I think the whole lot of them need to be voted out. I'm not getting political. It's a political comment, but I'm not directing it at any one party. I'm directing it at both parties. Neither one of them take responsibility for their actions. They all need to go. That's it. No more politics. Because like I said, this channel's not for politics. This channel's for discussing things. Model building. And it's what I'm working on while we do this. I'm sanding the edges of this thing, trying to get it smooth. You'll see what I made this out of in a little bit. And I went a little nuts with the filler. And it shows. I'm not getting 100% smooth coat. So now I'm about to paint on some Mr. Surfacer 1000 to fill in these micro scratches I got going. Because I got quite a few of them. And an oil drum would have them, but if this was at like 1/48 scale and it was slightly abandoned, this is 1/350 scale. These holes, no, you wouldn't see them this bad. You wouldn't go anywhere near this thing. It was holding oil with these holes and these dings in it. So I got some work to fix this. Top is almost done though. But the top's styrene, the sides are cardboard. I made it out of a cardboard tube that looks like this. In case you're wondering from, and yes, there's a nice spiral edge around it, but the spiral edge is gone for the most part. I just have a few spots where that hasn't smoothed out around the edges down here. So Mr. Surfacers will do it. Anyhow, this video about consequences from your choices, you know, and the responsibility to face those consequences. Now, it's hit me in my life personally. I have more than one person in my life who does not face up to their consequences. And what I do with them is I just cut them off. They're no longer in my close friends. They're no longer in my family circle. They're just cut off until they learn to handle these responsibilities and these consequences. Okay? More than one person in my life is not behaving themselves in this regard. And it's a shame, really, because I would like to have these people in my life, you know, and I just cut them off until they can learn how to behave themselves. And I think a lot of other people do that too. When someone can't behave, you just cut them off. Anyhow, I've let the video go long enough. I don't know how long it's been. I don't think it's over 10 minutes. I'm going to do more of these videos. This is probably going to be the most depressing of the lot. I'm just saying, because a lot of people don't face up to consequences. And I'm almost willing to bet I'm going to hit a nerve with a few people, a few of my subscribers, because they're probably not doing it. Far too many people aren't. And if everyone would, our world would be a much better place. You would think more about the decisions and the choices you make if you had to face the consequences of those choices. Okay? I'm going to say it again, our politicians are not facing those consequences, so they're making bad choices. Okay? And again, this doesn't have any political party in mind. They're both doing it. So, I'm not trying to be political with that. I'm just using them as an example because it's pretty easy to see they're not doing it. Okay? And it's a shame. You know, we as humans, we need to learn to do that, and that helps us grow. It helps us make better choices in life if we face those consequences. You know, you just learn to think better. Like, don't get behind a car and drive drunk. There's consequences you face from that. They're pretty severe. Okay? And some people don't think about those consequences and they get behind the wheel and drive anyhow. And they shouldn't. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Let's stop and think about things before we do it. Think about the consequences to your choices. Think about the responsibility that's going to follow from that choice. Alright? So I'm going to sign off right now. BB wants to come in and help me with a video. I'm going to let her. You guys are going to get a kick out of this one. She's trying out Halloween costumes. Like I said, she went as Bust-A-Move last night. You get to see that. And I'm not sure what she's doing now, but she wants to come in here. So I'm going to get off here. Hope you guys enjoyed it.